Quick one. Last video hit over 100 comments, which is absolutely mind-blowing for this channel. Let's try that again for this video. Comment down what you think about these stories, or just a hello, and the team will reply. We always reply to the comments. As always, please like and subscribe and help this channel grow. Thank you. When I saw her face appear in that little profile picture, it stopped me in my tracks. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. After 10 agonizing months of lawyers and court dates, I had finally started to rebuild some semblance of a normal life. But just seeing those green eyes, that wavy auburn hair, brought it all rushing back. The whirlwind romance, the fairy tale wedding, and then the slow, torturous breakdown of everything I thought we had. A roller coaster that accelerated into a crash landing. The divorce was bitter and bruising. I walked away with deep scars, some visible, some not. Wounds I doubted could ever fully heal. I had worked up the courage to dip my toe back into the dating world at the urging of habit friends. They encouraged me to get back on the horse, and said a Facebook profile was the perfect place to start. I reluctantly uploaded a few flattering photos, filled in the basics about myself, and began flipping through potential matches. That's when I saw her. It was unmistakable, the red scarf wrapped loosely around her neck, the wayward strands of wavy hair blowing across her face. It was Amelia. My pulse quickened and my mouth went dry. What was she doing here? Was this her way of tormenting me from afar? With trembling hands, I clicked on the profile photo, bracing myself for her vitriol. But there was nothing. No snarky bio, no recent photos tagged with handsome new men, no posts portraying a lavish new life without her former ball and chain. There was simply no information at all, just the picture. Those green eyes taunting me. It seemed suspicious. Amelia loved to overshare online. Documenting every dinner, vacation, and girls' night out was like oxygen to her. An entirely blank profile made no sense for someone so addicted to broadcasting the intimate details of her life. My cursor lingered over the message button as I wrestled with indecision. Contacting her directly felt dangerous, like tossing a lit match into a gas tank. But some masochistic part of me had to know if this was really her account. Before logic could intervene, I sent a perfunctory message asking how she'd been. The reply flashed instantly, icy in tone. "I'm fine, John. Stop stalking me." I shuddered. The bluntness, the hostility. It was her writing style through and through. Somehow Amelia had found me here. But why? Our relationship deteriorated into something ugly and unrecognizable, but I never consciously tried to hurt her. As her replies grew more vicious, spewing baseless accusations about my behavior in our marriage, I became desperate to make her stop. I insisted I just wanted to move on peacefully, but she continued dredging up the worst parts of our past. That's when the reality sank in. This encounter made zero sense. The divorce was finalized months ago. Amelia had gotten what she wanted and had no incentive to renew hostilities now. And why create a fake account just to lambast me? My confusion morphed into unease as I realized whoever was behind this profile, it almost certainly was not my ex-wife herself. I texted the real Amelia, asking in as casual a tone as I could muster whether she used Facebook these days. She replied immediately that she avoided all social media out of preference. My anxiety hardened into fear. Some stranger had stolen Amelia's identity and photos and was now whittling them to manipulate me. But how did they know such private details about our relationship? I felt violated and exposed. In the following days, I became obsessed with unraveling the mystery of who had created the imposter account. No matter how I pulled with them to leave me in peace or tried to trace their digital fingerprints, they persisted in their psychological assault. The intimate knowledge they possessed went beyond what could be explained by mere research or public records. They knew things, private conversations, personal fears, that only Amelia could know. I frantically reset all my passwords, scrubbed my online presence, and severed any connections between my virtual self and real identity. But the torment followed me from one platform to the next, impossible to shake. This person knew my deepest insecurities and regrets and exploited them ruthlessly with chilling precision. They were systematic, unrelenting. Weeks bled into months with police searches yielding few leads and friends urging me to dismiss it as some perverse idea of a prank. But my gut screamed that something more sinister was at play. This felt targeted, personal, by someone with an axe to grind. But who, and why me? The uncertainty made it impossible to think rationally. The psychological toll sent me into a downward spiral. I grew increasingly paranoid about every notification on my devices, bracing for the next attack. I stopped going out, instead sitting at home incessantly monitoring the fake profile, praying they would slip up and reveal themselves. But they were meticulous, giving me nothing to go on besides the depth of their antipathy. They dredged up doubts and insecurities I thought I had moved past, reopening wounds not fully healed. I felt myself retreating back into the darkness that swallowed me after the divorce. I worried this time there would be no climbing back out. Just as I teetered on the brink, the messages mysteriously stopped. For weeks I waited on tenterhooks for their return, but the account sat static. Eventually, I began gradually picking up the shattered pieces yet again. But inside I knew I was forever changed. I find myself scanning unfamiliar faces for a hint of recognition, no longer trusting outward appearances. A part of me will always wonder who pretended to be Amelia and why I was their target. Some mysteries are perhaps better left unsolved. The ghosts of the past hold enough power without being given shape. For my own sanity, I have to find a way to leave this one behind. As I scrolled lazily through my Facebook feed on that otherwise uneventful Saturday afternoon, a notification popped up that I had been tagged in a photo. I clicked on it without thinking anything of it. Probably just a friend tagging me in a cute selfie or fun group shot, right? But when it opened, I was met with a photo of a dimly lit bar, showing a group of laughing 20-somethings who looked pretty drunk as they celebrated. The thing was, I didn't recognize any of the faces looking back at me. Who were these people, and why was I tagged in a photo with them? I examined the photo more closely, taking in the surroundings. The bar looked dingy and crowded, with a haze of smoke in the air. The group looked pretty rowdy and carefree as they danced and smiled, drinks raised in celebration. As unfamiliar as the people were, the location was equally mystery. According to the tag, it was a random bar in a city I had never even visited before. I racked my brain trying to make sense of it all. Was this some old college photo with people I'd forgotten? A case of mistaken identity. The more I stared and searched for answers, the more perplexed I felt looking at the seemingly joyous images of strangers hundreds of miles away. In hopes of finding some explanation, I scrolled down to the comments, but rather than providing clarity, they only added to the confusion. Old high school friends were commenting things like, "Looks like an epic reunion," and "Miss our wild nights out together." Wild nights? Reunion. None of this aligned with my reality, unless had I blocked out some major chapter of my past. The creepy thought made my heart race as I desperately studied the faces once more. But no, there was not even a tinge of familiarity looking back at me from that bar snapshot, only escalating mystery. I hurried to untag myself. Clearly a case of mistaken identity with this photo. But within seconds, the dreaded notification popped up again. I had been retagged. What was going on here? I reopened the photo, now with a chilled sense of foreboding. And the once nostalgic comments took on a more sinister vibe. "We know you were there, Sarah," wrote my old gymnastics teammate Alicia. "You have to face up to your past," commented Matt, a friend from middle school. Face up to my past? Panic rose in my chest. Were they implying I had actually been present in that unfamiliar bar, but was denying it for some reason? I untagged myself once more, feeling icy fear replace confusion. Immediately, I was tagged for a third time, as if some unseen force kept shoving me back into association with the inexplicable photo. I braced myself before reopening the post, which was now flooded with new comments, each more unsettling than the last. "The truth always surfaces," wrote John, an old lab partner whose tone had turned ominous. "You know what you did, Sarah. And one night can't stay buried forever." My hands shook reading the words. Truth? Buried. What could have possibly happened that night to warrant such dark hints and warnings? I willed my foggy brain to conjure memories of whatever sinful acts they were implying, but could grasp at nothing solid. Had I committed some unspeakable act in a blacked-out haze? "We kept your secret, but you have unfinished business to take care of," echoed the words of my college roommate, Jen. The icy claws of fear sunk deeper into my chest. Heaping secrets and unfinished business. This was no mere prank. They were clearly alleging something serious tied to that night. But what? I scrolled through more messages urging me to confess deeds I had no memory of as dread consumed me. Who were these former friends turning against me? What could I have possibly done that was so terrible they would torment and threaten me with these vague warnings rather than just tell me? My hands trembled and breaths grew shallow. I couldn't untag myself from the photo fast enough, feeling it taint my profile page like incriminating evidence. But no matter how many times I removed it, that damned photo kept reconstituting itself on my profile, the comments and mystery multiplying like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. Pure panic now gripped me in its clutches. Had I actually done the unspeakable that hazy night? Could I have blocked from memory some awful act they all seemed to think I was guilty of? No, impossible. I was a good person, wasn't I? Doubt played my unraveling mind as I confronted the possibility that I was repressing some dark, unforgivable sin. I tore myself away from the screen, my heart pounding with primal fear. I had to get off Facebook, escape this warped reality I suddenly found myself trapped in. But deep down, I knew I could not evade it forever. This sinister photo and its implications would haunt me until I uncovered the truth about what lurid secrets lay buried in my past. I steeled my nerves, realizing I had no choice but to start digging through the misty recesses of my own mind. No matter how terrifying the truth might be, I had to face it head on. I had to know what happened that night, and why all traces of it had been locked away in the deepest vaults of my psyche, until that photo surfaced and cracked over the mystery. I clicked out of Facebook, knowing I stood at the precipice of revelation, and dreading what horrors lay on the other side. But it was too late to turn back now. I still remember the day Grandpa died like it was yesterday. The cancer had spread too far, and the doctors said there was nothing more they could do. He passed peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by family who loved him dearly. We were all devastated to lose him, especially me. I was Grandpa's little girl, and we shared a special bond. He used to call me his sunshine, and I'd run into his arms for the biggest bear hugs that made me feel so safe and loved. I'll never forget the twinkle in his bright blue eyes when he would tell me stories about his childhood adventures, like the time he fell into the pit and chasing after his mischievous dog Rufus, who had stolen his hat. His hearty, full-bellied laugh would fill the room with joy after finishing a funny story or a joke, and it was contagious. We'd all be wiping tears from our eyes soon after, stomachs hurting from laughing so hard. Grandpa had the best laugh, and I can still hear it echoing in my head. After he died, looking through old photos and seeing his smiling face brought me immense comfort, but also intensely painful grief knowing I'd never get to speak with him again or hear his voice. I missed our long phone calls where he would ask me about my day at school and give me advice about friends or boys he knew I had crushes on. He always knew just what to say to make me feel better. Over time, the intense grief softened to a dull ache. I missed him every day, but life went on as he would want it for his family. I tried to honor his memory by living life to the fullest. One morning I woke up and rolled over groggy to grab my phone off the nightstand and scroll through notifications, just like any other day. But this morning I saw something that made my heart stop. A new Facebook message from Grandpa. I froze, vaulting upright in bed and staring at the notification. With shaking hands, I opened it and started reading. I, Emily, just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. I hope you have a wonderful day celebrating and get to spend it with family. Love you lots, Grandpa. My hands were trembling and my chest tightened, my breath quickening. Grandpa has been gone for years. Was this some kind of cruel joke? I took slow, deep breaths, trying to slow my racing heart and make sense of it. I carefully examined the profile. It was definitely my grandfather's account, the one we memorialized after he passed. The profile picture made me gasp, a shockingly clear, recent photo of Grandpa looking just as I remember him. He was outside waving and smiling, eyes twinkling behind his bifocals like he had a secret where I'd gotten away with something. It captured his spirit so perfectly. I sat stunned, rereading the message over and over, my mind unable to comprehend what I was seeing. How was this possible? Had Grandpa's account been hacked? No, the security settings wouldn't allow just anyone to post or change the profile photo. Could it be a relative playing a horrible prank? But they wouldn't have access to such a clear, recent photo of him looking just as he did when he was alive. My mind raced with possibilities, each more disturbing than the last. Had I imagined it? Was I still asleep and dreaming? I pinched my arm hard just to check. No, the notification was definitely still there on my screen. With trembling fingers, I slowly typed a reply. Grandpa, is that really you? My heart pounded in my throat as I waited for a response. The little scene receipt popped up immediately, but then nothing. 5 agonizing minutes passed without another message. The photo stayed unchanged, that familiar smiling face I had loved so much. Suddenly, the profile picture changed before my eyes. Grandpa's friendly smile twisted into a chilling grin, his eyes turning cold and seeming to bore into me through the screen. This was no prank, no mistake. Somehow, impossibly, this was my grandfather's account contacting me from beyond. I dropped the phone with a gasp, my hands flying to my mouth in shock. What was happening? How could Grandpa be communicating with me from beyond the grave? Fear flooded my veins with ice, the hair on my arms standing up. I wanted desperately to believe it was him, that we could speak again and I could see his messages. But that ominous image said otherwise. Something sinister clearly had a hold of his account. I remembered all the times Grandpa told me creepy stories about evil spirits playing tricks on people. My brief hope of reconnecting with Grandpa had been cruelly shattered. This was not something I could allow myself to engage with. Hands still shaking, I forced myself to pick up the phone again. I took a deep breath and then, with a mournful glance at his profile photo, deleted the message thread. As much as it hurt to lose the chance to interact with him, I could not in good conscience engage with whatever or whoever was behind that account. That was not my grandpa. Finally, working up the courage, I opened his profile and selected unfriend with a heavy heart. As I clicked the button, it felt like losing him all over again. His profile picture flashed back to its original kind smile before disappearing from my friends list. Maybe someday I'll understand what happened and what reached out to me from beyond that morning. But for now, I have to accept that Grandpa's soul has moved on, even if his social media has not. I'll always cherish our memories and the lessons he taught me about what matters most in life: love, family, laughter. Messages from deceased loved ones are better left to comforting dreams, not disturbing tricks played through social media. I deleted the Facebook app from my phone and cried, mourning his loss anew after having my hopes raised and dashed so cruelly. But soon happy memories flooded back, and I could feel Grandpa with me in spirit once more. His loving energy surrounded me and gave me the strength I needed to move forward and live the bright, joyful life he would have wanted. This is an absolute nightmare. I awoke this morning to find that every single one of my social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, even my neglected Snapchat, have been completely hacked and taken over by someone else. All of my profile pictures are different now. My handles have been changed to nasty troll names. And my feeds, God, my feeds are now filled with the most awful and unflattering photos and videos of me. Except it isn't me at all. Whoever has hacked me is trying to pass these profiles off as the real me. They turned all my glamorous influencer content into a mockery. My feeds are now full of shaky iPhone photos and grainy video snippets portraying me as a complete slaw. There are images of a rundown apartment with dirty clothes and trash strewn everywhere. Captions full of typos and grammatical errors claiming, "This is the real me, not the fake life I show to get sponsors." The tone is cruel and mocking, clearly aiming to unravel the illusion of my perfect Instagram-worthy lifestyle. I feel sick with panic, my heart pounding, palms sweating. This is my worst nightmare. I've worked so hard to cultivate my personal brand and grow my audience. I take such meticulous care curating my Instagram grid, planning every fashion photo and lifestyle shot to look effortlessly perfect. The glamour, luxury, and beauty I portray have earned me sponsorship deals and press opportunities that are my livelihood. If this hacker ruins my reputation, I could lose everything. Frantically, I try to log into each account to regain control, but all of my passwords have been changed. I attempt to reset them, but the hacker must have taken over my email too, because I never receive a single password reset link. I'm completely locked out, unable to delete the horrible posts and videos this person is disseminating to all my followers under the guise of being the real me. Unsure what else to do, I desperately email and tweet every social media platform I can think of. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, pleading with them to help me recover my hacked accounts. I explain I'm the real account owner and send screenshots of the imposter's malicious posts, making it clear my identity has been stolen. But the social platforms are notoriously difficult to contact. Who knows how long it will take them to respond, if they ever do. While I await desperately for some reply, the hacker starts going live. At first, I think it's just pre-recorded videos posted to my account feeds. But with growing horror, I realize, no, this is happening right now in real time. I watch numbly as the hacker films themselves walking through the rundown apartment, panning the camera over the authentic mess, piles of untouched laundry, stacks of dirty dishes, unmade bed. Here's what her place relay looks like when she's not staging it for hashtag Sponkin hashtag fake influencer. The hacker types out in the caption bar during the broadcast. The live video starts garnering more and more viewers, everyone getting a front row seat to my apparent secret squalor. I'm helpless, unable to stop the stream or shut down the account. All I can do is watch this maniac systematically destroy my reputation. Panicked and out of options, I desperately try calling each social platform's contact number, but that's useless too. I immediately get sent to automated message hell, never able to speak to an actual human who might help. I even try pleading directly in the comments of the hacker's live video, begging them to stop, swearing I've been hacked, but my comments are instantly deleted. In desperation, I start posting to a backup Instagram account I rarely use, warning my followers of the hack, asserting it's all fake. A few loyal fans seem to believe me, offering sympathy and support, but many others turn on me fast, calling me a liar, saying this leak of my true life proves what a fake I am. Watching the hacker's live video, I feel powerless, my hands shaking, breathe coming fast and shallow. I built my influencer career so carefully over years. The perfectly curated Instagram profile, the playful yet polished TikToks, the scope and aesthetics of my YouTube channel, every detail meticulously crafted to earn sponsorships. Now this monster is dismantling it all live for the twisted entertainment of trolls. I can't stop gasping and pacing as the hacker now starts exposing secrets about me. Unedited photos, angry emails, DMs I thought were private. Each revelation intended to undermine the illusion I've crafted of a beautiful, peaceful, fulfilled life. They are determined to ruin my carefully cultivated reputation, the very source of my income and career. With every cruel post, it feels like the hacker takes another sledgehammer swing at the persona I've built up, brick by brick over years of non-stop effort. My heart races, palms sweat, mind spinning at what to do. But there seem to be no options left. I can't take back what the hacker is exposing about the real me once it goes viral. Watching my shiny illusion shatter publicly in real time makes me feel physically ill. It's like having a hidden camera expose one's most vulnerable moments for the twisted amusement of millions. My life's work, my online identity, my career, all destroyed in minutes by this callous imposter making my private reality go viral. As I sit here helplessly watching years of reputation management unravel, my panic rises. How will I ever recover from this? How can I convince anyone that what they're seeing isn't the authentic me? Would any sponsor ever want to work with me again after witnessing this apparent duplicity laid bare? Maybe the hacker has succeeded in exposing what a fraud I am. The ugly reality is my glamorous influencer lifestyle portrays a sham version of myself. I fake my way through fancy photo shoots and videos every day, then come home to a depressingly normal life just like everyone else. I'm just as much of a mess as the next person when the filters come off. Only no one is supposed to see behind the curtain of this carefully calibrated con I've crafted. Except now they have. My facade hacked and exposed, my flaws laid bare, my fraud of an existence broadcast widely in its banality. I am left gazing at the wreckage of my dreams and career, watching it go down in flames before my eyes, my years of hard work destroyed in minutes. The helplessness and devastation threatens to swallow me as the hacker continues streaming my breakdown for the sick amusement of countless trolls. As I groggily open my eyes this morning, I'm immediately filled with dread. My phone is already buzzing incessantly on the nightstand. I hesitantly grab it, bracing myself for what I know is coming, a complete social media firestorm. As soon as I log into my accounts, my stomach drops. Just as I feared, my feeds are flooded with shares of a horrifying deepfake video that someone has created of me. In the manipulated footage, I appear to be making outrageously offensive remarks that go completely against my principles. While the editing is disturbingly seamless, I know for a fact it wasn't me who said those things, but try telling that to the internet. The shocking video has now gone viral, igniting a massive controversy that threatens to tank my entire political campaign. Panicked comments and angry messages are already pouring in from all sides. Opponents are fanning the flames, gleefully spreading the misinformation. Supporters are confused and outraged. The meticulously edited video lends an air of legitimacy that is hard to combat. I scroll through my feeds in dismay, wave after wave of anxiety hitting me. My hard-earned reputation is being ripped to shreds by this fake footage. Years spent establishing myself as an upstanding, ethical leader now seem wasted thanks to a few minutes of doctored video. It's clear I need to take control of this situation immediately, but I honestly have no idea where to even start. As I sit on the edge of my bed, still reeling, my phone blows up with frantic messages from my campaign manager and staff. They are as panicked as I am, pressing me about how to respond to this crisis. I desperately rack my brain trying to figure out a strategy. A flat-out denial from me probably won't be good enough at this point. The video is too believable. Perhaps I could record a more candid personal video owning up to the situation and explaining the footage is fake. I could double down on spreading my real platform and values to reassure people. But these ideas barely seem like band-aids over a gaping wound. The reality is harsh. This fabricated video has become a weapon for my opponents to sway voters' perception of me. Even if I get ahead of it, the offensive remarks portrayed will still plague me in my campaign. My credibility may be damaged beyond all repair. As I think of the months of devoted work I poured into this election, I feel sick. I was so close to potentially winning this seat. Now it seems the prospects of victory are slipping away, derailed by one misleading video. It's devastating on both a personal and professional level. After taking a few minutes to steady myself, I know it's time to start fighting back. I have an enormous uphill battle ahead, but I'm not going down without giving it everything I've got. Defeatism won't solve anything now. Action and persistence are what I need. I take a deep breath and text my campaign manager to gather the team for an emergency meeting as soon as. Once we're all gathered around the table, the brainstorming begins. We'll need an intensive damage control plan, press statements, follow-up videos, campaign event appearances to reconnect with voters in person. It will be an all-hands-on-deck situation for the foreseeable future. My staffers seem overwhelmed but also fiercely determined. They believe in me in this campaign as much as I do. Their encouragement gives me fresh resolve. With our collective effort, perhaps we can somehow overcome this viral vilification. In the heated strategy session that follows, we map out a bold plan. We decide I should record a raw from the heart video owning up to the situation and denouncing the unethical manipulation. I'll look straight into the camera and explain why these remarks contradict my true values. Next, we'll double down on spreading helpful policy information and facts about my real platform. My team will actively combat misinformation online and boost our legitimate campaign messaging. I'll also increase my public appearances to connect one-on-one with uncertain voters. It will be exhausting enough, though, but we're ready to give it our all. And I'll need to draw on reserves of courage and perseverance like never before. The success of everything I've worked for hangs in the balance. By the end of the intensive strategy session, I feel cautiously optimistic. Working together with my smart, devoted team has lit a spark of hope in me. The firestorm isn't dying down anytime soon, but perhaps we can still turn things around if we stay focused. As I head home that evening, I'm filled with gritty determination. I change into comfortable clothes and splash some cold water on my face, staring hard at my reflection. The strong, bold woman looking back gives me renewed confidence. With my wits, my willpower, and a wonderful team behind me, I know I can get through this. It will likely be the greatest challenge of my political career so far, but overcome it I must. Too much is at stake to give up the fight now. Steeling myself for the stormy weeks ahead, I climb into bed exhausted, but no longer despairing. The deepfake drama isn't disappearing overnight, but tomorrow I'll start fresh in my fight to save my besmirched reputation. I may be temporarily knocked down, but I'm not knockout out. Not by a long shot. It all started late one sleepless night when I stumbled upon a strange forum while aimlessly browsing the web. The cryptic posts hinted at a series of mysterious puzzles and challenges, with vague promises of unveiling the truth to those who could solve them. Intrigued, I created an account and introduced myself, presenting myself as a bright-eyed newcomer eager to participate in this puzzling community. I was welcomed warmly by the seasoned members, their avatars cloaked in anonymity, but their enthusiasm palpable through their posts. The initial challenges provided were fun and harmless at first. Puzzles and codes to decipher, scavenger hunts around town searching for clues hidden in plain sight. They were oddly thrilling, making me feel like I was unlocking the door to a secret world. I became immersed in the forum, the challenges providing a sense of discovery and purpose. I would spend hours trying to decode the cryptic messages, scribbling down translations and interpretations. The scavenger hunts set me exploring familiar parts of town in a whole new light, combing through mundane objects and surroundings looking for hidden meanings. It was invigorating, sparking a childlike sense of adventure in my otherwise routine life. Before long, the tasks grew more complex, requiring late-night excursions to investigate abandoned buildings on the edge of town. We would search the decaying rooms by flashlight, looking for hidden notes, photos, or artifacts deliberately left behind. It was unsettling being in those gloomy places at night, with debris crunching under our shoes and bats squeaking in the rafters. But the forum members cheered me on, assuring me each successful challenge brought me closer to the ultimate revelation. I continued dutifully caught up in the promise of the final truth. The derelict buildings became our playgrounds, with every square inch examined for secrets. Just when I thought we had found everything there was to find, new hidden details would emerge to propel us forward. Things started getting stranger when they gave me instructions to record EEP sessions in the local cemetery. I'd sit alone amongst the graves in the darkness, asking questions in the silence and capturing hours of static and white noise. At home afterwards, I would painstakingly scrub through the recordings, analyzing for any faint voices or unexplained sounds I could find. The tiniest anomalies made my heart race, filling me with hope that I was capturing traces of the beyond. The forum members would pour through my findings, eagerly claiming to hear mysterious responses in the static that I had missed. Their enthusiasm spurred me onward, reassuring me I was so close to the elusive truth if I just pressed further. I became obsessed with the cemetery recordings, listening to them over and over through headphones late into the night. I knew there were messages there. I just had to find the right frequency to hear them. The final challenge came just last week, when I was instructed to travel deep into the remote woods at night to leave an offering at a hidden altar I'd find there. The altar itself was in a decaying shack, adorned with strange arcane symbols and black candles. The requested offering was a photo of a deceased relative, a task I found unsettling and morally questionable. But the forum members insisted it was necessary, and that by honoring the dead in this way I would be opening a doorway to hidden knowledge. Against my better judgment, I followed their instructions to the letter. I hiked for hours through overgrown trails by moonlight, nerves on edge, until I came to the shack. With hands trembling, I laid my grandmother's photo down on the ominous altar, surrounded by flickering candles. I said a silent prayer for her soul before recording the ceremony to share online. The responses poured in. Congratulations on passing the final challenge. I proved my dedication and was now worthy of being brought into the inner circle, where the promised truths would finally be revealed to me. There was an address provided, a date and time, a secret doorway through which I'd cross the threshold into revelation. My heart pounded as I made my way there, reflecting on the years of bizarre challenges that had all been leading up to this moment. What would I learn? What did it want from me? I hesitated before opening the door, feeling like I was on the precipice of the great unknown. The room inside was empty, save for a small table with a single USB drive on it. With sweaty palms, I picked it up, plugged it into my laptop, and opened the only file, a text document. I read, "The truth is that there is no truth. The journey was the destination. The challenges brought you here, to this realization. That sometimes is not the end result, but the experiences along the way that matter." The document went on to explain that the puzzles had been meant to help me find courage and build connections. It urged me to share this message with others seeking external truths, to guide them on a similar journey of inner growth. I sat there stunned. It was over. There was no grand revelation or unveiling. Just this. I realized then that I'd been led astray, seeking truth outside myself when I should have looked within. The real truth was that we have so much to learn from each other, without chasing ghosts or getting lost in puzzles. I deleted the forum, thanked those I had met for the journey, and closed that chapter peacefully. The mystery was solved, the story complete. It was time to turn the page and share the lesson with others who still sought puzzles over personal truth. The experience had changed me, but it was time to move forward. As I sit here on the eve of my company's highly anticipated IPO, I can't help but feel a pit in my stomach. It's supposed to be the most exciting time in my entrepreneurial journey, the culmination of years of blood, sweat, and tears since founding this tech startup right out of college. But instead of popping champagne bottles, I'm popping antacids while obsessively refreshing my inbox. You see, I received an anonymous message last week that turned my world upside down. It contained screenshots of private company emails that detail some questionable decisions I made early on to get my startup off the ground. decisions that toe the ethical line. I'm not proud of the things I did back then, but I felt they were necessary evils to compete in Silicon Valley's cutthroat environment. I cut corners on regulatory approvals, misrepresented data to investors, and generally did anything to get my foot in the door. This faceless blackmailer is threatening to expose those emails to the SEC, jeopardizing that IPO and opening me up to potential legal troubles that could end my career. After building this company from nothing, the thought of seeing it all unravel makes me sick to my stomach. But I also know the things contained in those emails could cause major fallout if they ever saw the light of day. The media would have a field day, and my sterling reputation would go up in smoke overnight. I'm doing everything in my power to keep the IPO on a track while handling this anonymous threat. I've beefed up security protocols and brought on a team of lawyers to manage the fallout if these emails go public. I'm also working closely with the SEC to make sure we cross every T and dot every I in preparation for the public offering. But even with all those precautions, I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering if and when this anonymous figure will make good on their threat. Will I open my inbox one morning to find our dirty laundry aired out on the internet for all to see? Will some tech blog break the news that the hot startup everyone is buzzing about actually has a closet full of skeletons? It's the not knowing that has my nerves completely frayed. I feel like I'm one click away from losing everything at any moment. In public, I'm putting on a brave face, telling my employees and investors we're on the cusp of an exciting new chapter as a public company. But behind closed doors, I feel like a fraud, an imposter just waiting to be exposed. It's taking everything in my power not to let the paranoia consume me entirely. I'll be in the middle of a meeting when an alert goes off on my phone, and my heart drops into my stomach. I keep running through who could be behind this in my mind. Who has that kind of access to private company information and would want to sabotage me? Is it a disgruntled former employee out for revenge? A competitor looking to undermine our IPO? Or maybe it's someone closer to home that I've confided in. The thought that it could be someone I trust makes my skin crawl. Anyone from my inner circle could have thrown this grenade. As much as I want to believe we'll make it through the IPO unscathed, I know this blackmailer holds all the cards. My fate is in their hands. All it takes is one click of the mouse and my sterling reputation goes up in smoke. Years of media profiles praising me as a genius founder have become articles eviscerating me. I'll go from entrepreneurial wonderkind to corporate crook overnight. Despite the successful business I've built, the right thing would be to come clean about my past indiscretions, but the IPO is days away. My employees and investors have put their trust in me to lead this company into the future. I don't know if I have the courage to throw it all away and fall on my sword. I keep hoping maybe this is just a nightmare that I'll wake up from. So for now, all I can do is put one foot in front of the other and hope this shadowy figure shows me mercy. Maybe the allure of $1 billion IPO will be enough for them to stay silent. Or maybe my dirty secrets will come spilling out at the worst possible time, shattering the empire I worked so hard to create. I'm trying to remain optimistic, but it's like waiting for the other shoe to drop. This anonymous blackmailer holds my entire future in their hands. Do they just want money to keep quiet, or do they want to completely destroy me and everything I've built? The lack of demands or communication makes their motives opaque. As the IPO date approaches, I'm growing more on edge by the hour. I snap at colleagues and can't sleep at night as I wargame all the possible worst-case scenarios. I know the stress is compromising my ability to lead effectively right when my team needs me most. But I feel powerless to control the forces that could unravel everything at a moment's notice. It's absolute torture, like Chinese water torture dripping day after day, not knowing when the next drip will come. I guess like everyone else, I'll have to wait and see what happens after we go public. Until then, it's more antacids and refresh button pounding as I count down the days until I either reach new heights of success or come crashing back down to earth spectacularly. This anonymous blackmailer has me dangling helplessly by a string. What a nightmare. But all I can do is put on a brave face and try to prepare for any eventuality, even if deep down I know I'm powerless in this situation. The fate of everything I've worked for rests in someone else's hands. It started out subtly at first. I'd noticed the occasional friend request on Facebook from someone I didn't know. I'd just ignore or delete them, assuming they were random spam bots trying to connect with people. It was annoying but didn't seem threatening. But over time, the requests kept happening more and more frequently. Multiple times a week I'd get these requests, always from different male names I didn't recognize. None of the profiles seemed real, no photos, posts, or mutual friends. I asked some female friends if they had been getting strange requests too, but no one else seemed to be targeted like I was. I tried changing my Facebook settings to private so only friends could send requests, but it didn't make a difference. The creepy requests persisted, sometimes multiple times a day from various fictional names. I reported and blocked each one, but it was endless no matter what I did. I started to feel uneasy, like I was being singled out and watched, but I told myself I was just being paranoid. These were probably spam bots, not an actual person obsessed with stalking me. Still, I couldn't shake the creepy feeling that someone was targeting me specifically. The endless parade of requests kept rolling in day after day, no matter what privacy settings I put in place. I even considered deactivating my Facebook account altogether just to make it stop, but that felt like letting the stalker win. Then I started noticing peculiar things in real life too. If I was out running errands, I'd see the same older Model Tan Sedan parked near my house later at a grocery store parking lot across town. When I went out to eat with friends, there'd be a middle-aged man in a baseball cap sitting alone at the bar who seemed to be watching me intently. Little coincidental things like that started happening more and more, almost daily, that added up to make me very unsettled. I didn't want to worry my family and friends by telling them what was happening, and I had no solid proof that anything sinister was going on. The man at the bar could just be a harmless, lonely guy. The car in the parking lot could be a coincidence. But my gut told me I was being stalked both online and in real life by someone obsessed with me. I started taking screenshots of the Facebook requests and writing down license plate numbers of suspicious cars. I varied my routine errands so my potential stalker couldn't predict where I'd be. I stopped posting anything on social media altogether, going completely silent to see if that would deter him. But the requests and concerning sightings persisted. One day I came home to find my front door unlocked when I knew I had locked it before leaving. My stomach sank as I realized this person had somehow gotten inside my home while I was out. I was being terrorized and didn't know what to do or who to turn to. In a panic, I called the police and told them everything. The Facebook requests, the sightings, and now someone breaking into my home. They increased patrols in my neighborhood, but said there wasn't much they could do without evidence of a crime. I felt helpless and afraid in my own home. I confided in a few close girlfriends finally, not wanting to deal with this terrifying situation alone anymore. They were shocked and extremely concerned for my safety. They offered to stay with me so I wouldn't be alone, which brought me comfort. I was so grateful for their support. We brainstormed other ways I could protect myself, like taking a self-defense class. Just having other women to talk to about this ordeal made me feel less powerless and alone. After changing all the locks and securing my house with an alarm system, I decided I wasn't going to let this stalker isolate and control my life. I signed up for a women's self-defense course at a local gym, which made me feel more confident and empowered. I got pepper spray to carry everywhere. I became much more aware of my surroundings when I was out and listened to my instincts if a situation felt off or dangerous. Just taking steps to protect myself restored my sense of control. It's been a few months now, and the unwanted online and real-life contact has slowed somewhat. I don't know if the police presence scared him off or if my hyper-vigilance deterred the stalker, but I'm still not letting my guard down. I vary my routines as much as possible and stay alert no matter where I am. I'm hopeful I'll never have to find out who was behind the endless harassment, but I feel stronger and safer thanks to the support of friends and my own actions. Thanks for listening in. If you like these stories and want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and support this new channel. We have more stories for you to listen to.